Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now in today's episode, we are going to finish off our business plan. In the previous video, we did start our business plan. We went over the executive summary, the company description, and the market analysis. Now in today's video, we're going to iron out the second half of the business plan. We're going to go over the last few topics in detail. And when we're done, we'll have a nice and thorough, clean business plan. All right, so without further ado, we'll dive right back in. And then from there, you can move on to your organization and management structure. And in this section, it's exactly as it sounds. So what type of organization and management structure are you gonna have? And here, you wanna specify exactly what it is currently. And then if you're looking to also grow in the future, you wanna also specify what it'll be in the future. So if you are going to be, the sole operator, you're going to have all the hats, and you're going to do all the roles, you need to specify that. You need to specify what your roles are and what it means to have that role as your responsibility. Now, if there are multiple people in your organization at this point, you also need to include their information, include exactly what their roles are and what their responsibilities are as well. That needs to be clear and concise. That way, if anybody reads it, say if you do have a partner or two, when they read it, they know exactly what their responsibilities are. This is stuff that you should have already discussed with them. But if it's not something that you discuss with them, this is definitely something you want to use as a reference point to say, here is my role, here's my responsibilities, this is what I'm bringing to the table. And, your partners will be able to see, what their responsibilities are, what their roles are as well. Now, say if you don't have partners and you only want, or you will have like independent contractors or whatnot, people that will do, specific tasks as they come along, then specify that in here as well. Now, also, if you plan on growing, you want to specify how you're planning on growing. Like, are you seeking a partner? And if so, what realm or what exactly is that potential partner going to bring to the table in your business, and how exactly will you all mesh together? So that's also something that you want to include in this section, and you want to be specific as well. And this area of your business plan can update as time goes on. If you have, if you grow, pretty far, or if you grow pretty big and you need to bring in a lot of employees or whatnot, you could go back and you could adjust this, and you could say, okay, well, at this point, these are our top managers, like our executive managers, I should say. These are our middle level managers, and these are the employees, and specify who's doing what roles. Obviously at some point you won't be able to, keep that information as far as who's doing what roles if you grow to that point where you have, a lot of people. But especially if you just have a handful of individuals working for the company, list if they're partners, list if they're managers, list if they're like, if they're hourly employees, whatever the case is. But you want to make sure to have that information in this section. And then from here, you want to go into your products and service line. And what's your products and services? And we already briefly discussed this, but you want to go into specifics. You want to talk about exactly what service or what product you are creating or you are providing. And you want to specify, how or what it will look like. So what is your finished product or service going to look like? And, how will your market, or how will your market or your target market react to it? Why exactly these products and services are necessary for your target market? And, what problems do they solve? How do they solve them? And you want to have all this information on here. This, again, a lot of this information you could get from your brainstorm, but with the brainstorm, again, that's just generalized, ideas. Here, you want to actually iron it out. You want to see your product and service as a finished good in your head, and you want to map it out on paper. How are you going to get to that point? Say if you are creating something, and you need supplies for it or whatnot. How are you going to get those supplies? How are you going to, bring those supplies together and produce the finished good? What is the finished good going to look like? And how will the finished good, solve the problem in the market? So all these things need to be included in this section. And then we'll go on from there. So at this point, we are going to jump right into marketing and sales. So marketing and sales, we want to specify exactly how we're going to market to our audience. We're going to specify, what way we're going to market to them and how we're going to market to them. So you want to do enough research to say, okay, well, I'm going to market online through advertisements or through, word of mouth or whatnot. And you're going to write down exactly why or how you're going to market. You want to have your strategy in this section. And in addition to that, you're going to want to describe exactly how your marketing is not only going to get the attention of your potential customer or client, but also how you are going to be able to retain them as well. You also want to include the sales avenue. So if you are marketing through an advertisement online, will there be links that lead directly to your sales page, or directly to your product or services, or directly to information about yourself? That way, whoever your potential client is or audience is, they'll have a direct avenue to your services. You'll want that in this section. And you want to have that written all the way out. You want to envision yourself as the potential customer, and what would speak out to you. Think about that. What would speak out to you as the potential customer? How would you want a business that's tackling this problem of yours, or that's addressing whatever need it is that you have? How would you want a potential company to market to you, and what would you want your experience to be as far as like the avenue to sales? So you want to write out all that information. Then you want to go, and then we'll go into the funding and the funding requests. So this is how, in this section, we will discuss how to, what our plans are as far as funding. Are you going to be self-funded? Are you going to seek, a loan from a friend or family member, or multiple friends and family members? Are you going to seek funding through a financial institute? In this section, you want to specify exactly what your plans are to fund your operations, because at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, you're going to have some kind of operation costs. You may have it already covered, and you may be able to provide the funding yourself, so you can specify that information in here. But let's say if your operation costs, or whatever the cost is to get your finished products and services, are going to be more than you can afford, or say you don't want to fully invest in your company yourself, but you want to seek outside funding. You want to specify exactly how you're going to do this. Now, depending on how much how much funding you're going to need, you could specify how you're going to acquire that funding. So if you're looking for an investor, are you willing to give up part of your company ownership? And if so, at what cost? I think that it's important to remember that your business itself can get a business loan, and we'll cover that in another video. But just know during this section while you're filling it out, don't go to the first person down the street and say, hey, I need a couple $1,000s. I'll give you X amount of percentage of my company. Because at the end of the day, you want to hold on to your company. Say, when you first start off, your company might be worth, that couple $1,000s. But if you grow to the point of your company being a couple $100,000, but you already gave up you gave up ownership of the company, then all of a sudden, instead of you owning a couple $100,000 worth of your company, you might only own 80% of that. And this person that gave you a couple thousand to get off the ground, they already own 20%. And in addition to that, at the end of the day, when you seek funding from investors, you're not seeking help. You're not seeking assistance in the sense of like operation assistance. So essentially, not only are they paying a couple $1,000s for whatever future growth you have, but also they're also paying you to do all the legwork as well. So it's important to note that if you can fund it yourself, great, do that. That's what I suggest. If it's something that you're not able to fund yourself and you are able to, I would suggest you look into loans. Get a loan from a financial institute, or potentially that investor. Maybe they could give you a loan and you could agree to pay them back plus interest or whatnot. But you're going to want to include all that information in here as well. So one of the last portions of the business plan is going to be your financial projections. In this section, you want to specify exactly what you project to financially receive. You want to project what it is that your financial outputs are going to be. You want to project exactly how your business is going to manage its finances and how exactly your business is going to get its funding back. So as an investor, any investor, whether it's a financial institute or a private investor, when they read your business plan, they want to know that you have a clear and concise goal and vision on not only making money and being able to pay them back, but also to pay them back in interest, or if they have ownership of the company, partial ownership of the company, then they want to verify that you have plans on getting them their money back. In this, you want to go into details. This is where your market analysis comes into play. So you want to go into details as far as what you project, your monthly or quarterly, income is going to be and expenses are going to be. You want to also project exactly, lay out your year plan. At the end of the year, you want to generate X amount of sales. With X amount of sales, it will require, X amount of expenses, and specify there, be as specific as you can be. Then in addition to that, you want to go even further. Do a 3-year projection, do a 5-year projection, and continue to grow. That's the idea. Continue to grow and express how you're going to grow, how you are going to maintain those financial projections, how you're going to cut down costs, how you're going to increase revenue. All that stuff needs to be here in the financial projections. Okay, so in the final and last section is your appendix section of your financial plan. In this section, you want to have any documentation that backs up and that adds substance to your business plan as a whole. So if you have any specific licensing that will allow you to go into operations in a specific field that requires that, have that there. If you have, you might need to have credit history or funding history. If you have already received funding in the past, you want to have that information in there. You want to have your expense information already documented and laid out in there as well. You want to have your resume. So, you may have to, express, or, you may have to convince somebody to invest in you based off of your experiences. So you want to have your resume in here. You want to have, all that stuff in this section. That way, as the potential investor or the potential partner reads over your business plan, they get down here and it has your specified documentation already here in clear and concise format. That way they could just verify the information that you have already expressed to them previously in your business plan. So again, if you say that if you are an expert in your specific realm, you want to have even your previous job description specifying exactly what areas your focus areas were in that job, and you want to have all that documented in this area. If you have any, again, licenses or any business registrations, you want to have that information in here already as well. It is possible, especially if you went through the course of securing your name, that you registered your business with your state, you registered your business with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And so all that information, you want to include it in here. If you registered your company with the IRS at this point, then, and you have an EIN number, you want to make sure to have that documentation, the certificate of your EIN included in this portion of your business plan. That way everybody knows, hey, these are the legal documentations, here are my credentials, here is everything that backs up your business and your business plan to this point. Your goal with the business plan is, again, to clearly specify and iron out what you're going to do as a business, how you're going to do it, and also potentially if there's a investor or potential partner to for them to be able to read this and clearly see what your vision is, clearly see what your credentials are, clearly see what point you are at with your business at this point. And this section can constantly be updated as you get more legal documents, more licensing, whatever the case is. When you get something of substance, include it in here. That way, it's always up to date. And, from there, you have a clear and concise business plan. That's all it takes. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them below. Like, comment, subscribe to this channel. This has been another episode of Building a Brand with Jeremy Patton, where we built a business plan. I appreciate you all for staying tuned, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.